Welcome back, and we're on to the 5th of Jan today. So as ever, pause the video, have a go at all the questions. Nice little mix today. Some questions we haven't seen so far this year. And I'll be starting in 3, 2, 1, first question. Okay, so this first question is just a triple brackets question, which occurs on both normal GCSE and further maths. Indeed, the further maths questions tend to be a little bit more complicated than this. But either way, give it a go, and hopefully you should get what I get. Now, there's a few ways of doing this. I'm not going to say my way is the only way, but I would look to expand 2 of the brackets. I'm going to pick the first 2 because they look pretty easy. So that's going to give me x squared plus 3x plus 2. And then I'm going to multiply that by x plus 4. Now, at this stage, you'll lay out. Some people draw boxes and some people draw grids and different things. I don't mind it, however best suits you. But I would say make sure you've got a method that's flexible, because again, as the maths get harder, especially if you do A level, you're going to have to do things with a lot more than sort of 2 by 2 columns. So you need to be very flexible in how you do this. So the way that I do it is I'm multiplying it by x, and then I'm multiplying it by 4, and I do it in columns like this. So everything by x is x cubed plus 3x squared plus 2x, as I've written here. Everything by 4, and you'll notice I write the x squareds under the x squareds, the x and the x's, which means I can add it up nice and easily and get x cubed plus 7x squared plus 14x plus 8. First question, not terrible. On to the next question. Okay, this next question, if you do international GCSE, you won't know how to do this question. If you do normal GCSE, you do learn this for the normal GCSE. But either way, let's give it a go. So with any sequence, you're trying to spot the pattern in between. So it's not going to be a multiple, so it's not a geometric sequence. So let's look at the differences. Now the differences appear to be going up by 2, down by 2, I should say. So the differences of the differences are -2. Now again, most of you will have come across quadratic sequences, but the point is the -2 tells you that the a term, i.e. the coefficient of the n squared, is half of this, which is -1. Now, some people remember the a plus b plus c and the 3a plus b equals something. That's fine. The way that I tend to do it, because I just think it's easier and cleaner, is I write out the sequence again, and then I write out, well, that's -1, so I do -1 squared underneath. So in other words, 1 squared is 1 with a minus, 2 squared is -4 with a minus, etc., etc. And then I do that, so 200 minus -1 is 201. 196 minus -4 is 200, etc. And then I look for the linear sequence here, which is going to be, well, it's going down by 1, so it's -n plus 202 to get me to my first term. So in other words, well, the answer, let's look at the answer. I'll explain the answer slightly better. So -1 is the -n squared here, and then this is this linear sequence here. Now again, if you've learnt the a plus b plus c method, and that's fine. You'll get the marks for it anyway, but it's just a bit cleaner to know how to build it up manually. Either way, answer this one, -n squared minus n plus 202. Next question. Clearly a further maths only question. If you do international GCSE, you'll need to know how to do this as well. If you do normal GCSE, you don't need to know how to do it, but you'll learn it for A level, so you might as well sort of get ahead a little bit, but you don't need it before your exam. Differentiate, bring down the power, take away 1 from the power. So this is going to be, well, it's going to be 8x to the power of 9 plus 14x to the power of 6. Nice and straightforward theory question, 2 marks, right or wrong, maybe even 3 marks in a further maths exam actually. So 2 or 3 marks, good question. Next question. Okay, now I've put these together for a word that I'll come to in a minute. So let's deal with the first one first, and let's talk about the word that I want to highlight next. Prove. Now, when it says prove, there is a wrong way of proving. There's lots of right ways, but there's very definitely a wrong way, which most people do. So the way you have to do it is you have to start with one thing and turn it into the other thing. You can't write the whole thing down to start with and make it look like each other. So in other words, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the left-hand side is x squared cos squared x minus 2 sine squared x. Now, because of space, straight away, I'm going to switch my sine squared for 1 minus cos squared. And then I'm going to expand the brackets, which is going to be cos squared minus 2 plus 2 cos x. Now I know I could have done this in one step, but because it's a proof question, I want to demonstrate understanding and not just write the answer. Now I've got cos squared plus 2 cos squared is 3 cos squared. This is looking good, and minus 2, excellent. So I've got the answer. And then because it's a proof that equals the right hand side, I've answered the question. That's a lot of work, but it's a lot of work to show I understand how to prove something and not just say the thing that's written in the question already. Okay, next part of the question. So there's an important word here, and that word is hence. So I must use the previous answer. Even though I could solve this using various different methods, I must use this answer here, and I must be shown to use this answer. So I'm going to write that because this is true and that is the same as this, because I'll prove it in part A, I'm just going to write that it must therefore be the case that 3 cos squared x minus 2 equals 0. Add 2 to both sides, and that means cos x is equal to 2/3 square rooted. But I've got to be careful because it's plus minus 2/3 square rooted. And so therefore I need to work out cos x equals to plus root 2/3 and negative root 2/3. Now, I'm not going to explain this in full depth here. And again, it's just something that's going to be new to most of you. And you need to make sure you know how to draw your curves or use your cast diagram. I hate cast diagram. You'll hear me say that a lot. But either way, you need to know how to do it and how to get the answer. So you should have got for cos x equals root 2/3. That's 35 and 325 degrees. And for cos x equals minus root 2/3, it's going to be in between those, isn't it? It's going to be 145 and 215. And that's it. Nice little question to end there. Make sure you've got some good understanding. As ever, like, subscribe, leave a comment below, and I'll see you for tomorrow's video. Thanks all.